Court is now in session for the trial of Mr. Miles Edgeworth. The defense is ready, Your Honor. What was this guy's voice again? Very well, apparently the prosecution is also ready. Who's the judge here anyway? Mr. Von Conley, your opening statement. Very well, no opening statements, so... Oh, it was that. I can't do that. Not so fast, Judge. I was taking a meaningful pause before speaking. Right, of course. A prediction. Today's trial will end 3 minutes from now. I'm gonna be counting, I've got a counter. Order, order! Mr. Von Conley, what is the meaning of your statement just now? Bah, must you question everything? It will be over in 3 minutes. We have no time to waste. I'll call my witness now. Right. I call my witness, my decisive witness, to the stand. It's that mysterious boat shop owner. Witness, state your profession. I am the proprietor of the restaurant, the Wet Noodle at Gourd Lake. And I also rent boats. The night of the incident, you were in the boat rental shop, correct? Yep, I was. Please testify. Wait a second. We still haven't heard who this old guy is. Wait a minute. The witness hasn't stated his name yet. Because I did not ask him, Mr. Wright. Bah! I have predicted this trial will end in 3 minutes. Stop asking trivial questions and cooperate. Yeah, right. The witness will state his name. I'm not really sure, yep. What do you mean? My memory... Your Honor, the witness does not remember anything beyond the last several years. Ergo, he cannot recall his own name. He can't recall, you say? Yes, but the incident in question took place 3 days ago. He can testify. Very well. Let's hear his testimony then, shall we? Witness? It was the night of the 24th, just after midnight. I was in the restaurant where I had rent boats as usual. Then I heard a bang. Yep. When I looked out the window, I saw a boat just floating on the lake. Then I heard another bang. Just about then, the boat comes back to shore and a man walks by my window. It's been 3 minutes, Von Conley. It didn't work. Very well. I'd like to begin the cross-examination. There is nothing to question here in my witness's testimony. Ergo, no need for cross-examination. Besides, there are only 10 seconds left before our 3 minutes are up. You liar! Judge, your verdict now. Yes. Mr. Wright? What are you saying? Of course I'll cross-examine the witness. Very well, you may begin. Excuse me, have you just transformed into a dinosaur, Mr. Von Conley? 3 minutes just passed. You know you keep saying that, but actually it's been 4 minutes by now. Let's just take our time. You may cross-examine the witness. You know, a little dinosaur screech there. I'm terrified. One day I'll do a terrifying scream and you'll all hear it. Just after midnight, you say? Yep, just around then. Are you sure? Pretty sure, yep. When I talked to you yesterday, you were rather vague about the time. I'm surprised you seem so sure about it today. I asked him and he remembered. Isn't that right? Don't glare at me like that. I remembered it clearly, I did, yep. You see? Continue. Okay, I'm not gonna question it. Heard a bang. Hold it. By your window. Yep, by my window, right outside the window of my little shack. And could you see the man's face? Well, the fog was pretty darn thick, but he was right there in front of me. I saw him. This is a rather important detail. Please add it to your testimony. Tisk. How do you... Tut. I have a bad feeling about this. That man was the defendant. He was saying, I can't believe he's dead. Are you sure? Well, that's what happened. Uh-oh. Dad! Dead certain, Keith! He said, I can't believe he's dead as he was walking by, too. Witness, are you sure the person you saw was Miles Edgeworth? It was him! That Edgeworth boy! Help me, please. This sounds like decisive evidence indeed. I see no room for doubt. From the coroner, he lured me into cross-examining so he could set me up for a fall. Nick, I don't like the way things are going here. Everyone in the courtroom is glaring at us. I better act quick or this trial is going to be over. Your Honor, we proved in yesterday's court that it could not have been Edgeworth who fired the gun. Mr. Wright, are you referring to the fingerprints from Edgeworth's right hand found on the gun and the photograph showing the man firing with his left hand? Exactly. That is easily explainable. He could have wiped his prints after he fired. You're ignoring the truth of the matter here. Everything in this witness's testimony is true. The judge is lost in thought. What should I do? Your Honor, this witness claims that Edgeworth says, I can't believe he's dead, but his word is all we have. If he were telling a lie... Mr. Wright, in the court of law, the evidence tells all. Apparently, you've yet to realize even this basic fact. If you say his testimony is a lie, show us proof. Nick, do we have evidence? It's no good. There's nothing I can do. Are you sure? To be honest, I don't know what to do anymore. Please. Can you hear me, sis? Please. I need your help. Nick needs you. Three minutes was perhaps too high an expectation. However, 15 minutes is not bad. This must be a new record. It hasn't been 15 minutes, so good job on you. Enough! The witness may leave the stand. Please help him up first. This court sees no reason to further prolong the trial, nor is there any need for any more time to decide the case against the defendant. This case is extremely clear. I see no room for misinterpretation of the facts. What? No! This court finds the defendant, Mr. Miles Edgeworth. The accused will surrender to the court immediately, to be held pending trial at a higher court within a month from today's date. That is all. The court is adjourned. Wait! Who was that just now? Me! Huh? What? Larry! What are you doing here? Listen, you gotta listen to me. I was there in the park on the night of the murder. I wasn't sure about it until just yesterday, but today I remembered it. Remembered what? The gunshot! I heard it too! Order! What is the meaning of this? The verdict has been decided. I call for adjournment. One moment, Mr. Von Karma. So, you say you heard a gunshot? Yeah, I did. A gunshot that night. I was sitting here in the audience listening to the testimony. Then I realized something that he said was different from what I remember. Anyhow, I can't just sit here and let you call Edgy a murderer. It's just not right. I'll testify. Let me testify. Order, order! Well, this is the first time something has happened like this in my court. I'm not quite sure how to proceed. Judge, you've already given your decision. The trial is over. Nick! This is it. Larry's given us one final chance at this. She's right. If only it wasn't Larry. He could make things even worse. Mr. Edgeworth was just declared guilty, Nick. It doesn't get any worse. You're right. Okay. Your Honor, if there is another witness, it is our duty to hear him speak. Right here, right now. A waste of time. The verdict cannot be overturned. Allow me to speak my opinion. In all court proceedings, it is our duty to prevent an inaccurate verdict. In order to make sure no mistake has been made, every witness should be heard. What is this? I withdraw my previous verdict of guilty. Mr. Von Karma, I order you to call this new witness to testify. Now. What? This court will adjourn for a 5-minute recess. I will move the game back into the window because I moved it a second ago. Perfect. After that, we will hear this new witness. Court is adjourned. Phew. That was too close. Sorry to keep you on the edge of your seat like that, Edgeworth. I've seen worse. Yeah, right, Edgeworth. You're sweating bullets. I just wonder what Larry plans to say in there. Larry was at the lake that night? Yeah. He said he went looking for the Steel Samurai balloon that flew into the lake. Oh, right! And he found the balloon in the air tank that night. Yeah. Hey, Edgeworth. You say something, right? Yeah, a lot of things. You seem out of it. What's wrong? It's nothing. Mr. Edgeworth? There's something I'm meaning to ask you. What's that? Why are your fingerprints on the murder weapon? Oh. When he fell into the lake, I went into a daze. I couldn't understand what had happened. I couldn't think straight. Then I saw the pistol lying on the floor of the boat in front of me. I picked it up without thinking. I didn't have a reason, really. I see. Right. Yeah? This might be our chance. Our chance? Von Karma has only ever run perfect trials. Perfect trials? Perfectly prepared witnesses, perfectly complete evidence. That's the secret to his success. This is the first time he's ever had to deal with something unexpected. He has let someone he hasn't even talked to testify before the court. And that someone is Larry. What are you getting at? It's likely his testimony will be full of holes, right? That's right, Nick! No 10-minute trial this time. We'll milk this one for all it's worth. Hey, it was 15 minutes. 15! Everything depends on Larry now. Court is now back in session. Witness, please testify to the court about everything that you saw on the night of December 24th. Right, leave it to me. Please, Larry, don't let this mess this one up. Like my thought just then, don't mess it up. I hate to admit it, but you're our last chance. Karma didn't even have time to prep his witness. I just hope Edgeworth is right about this being our big break. That night, I was out in a boat on the lake. I can't remember how the voices go. I never can. I was looking for something and I found it, so I quietly slipped the boat back in at the rental shop dock. Then, just as I was thinking about going home, I heard this bang! I looked out over the lake, but I didn't notice the boat. So after I heard that single gunshot, I went home. That was an unusually vague testimony even for this court. In any matter, Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination. Yes, Your Honor. What's wrong, Nick? It's Larry. I have no idea what he's going to say if I press him. I'm a little scared. Well, we've come this far. There's no way to go but forward, Nick. I'm not going to debate that. You can ask about this and embarrass him. Looking for something? Yeah. Mr. Butts, what were you looking for? What the witness was searching for is irrelevant. Most likely he was hunting for the Squatty. You know, it wouldn't surprise me one bit if that was the truth. This is all irrelevant. Let's get it over with. What up, though? Where did the sound come from? Yeah, well, I wasn't too sure about that. I looked around, you know? Did you look at the lake? Yeah, I looked. So, you only heard one bang, correct? Yeah? Huh. Well, Nick? It was a pretty wishy-washy testimony, wasn't it? I guess I should just start working on the contradictions. Sorry, I wish I could be more helpful. I wish I could call my sister. Hey. Wait a second, Larry. What? You only heard one bang? You're sure? That's what I said. But Miss Lava Heart testified yesterday she heard two. And the old man just now said the exact same thing. They both heard 2 gunshots that night. Huh? Were you even listening? Were you paying attention to at all to what they said? Yo, Nick, please! Huh? You know, something's been bothering me. I'm a witness, see? I'm like a customer here. So, you gotta treat me nice and stuff, okay? Mr. Butts? What? You only heard 1 gunshot, are you sure? Well, to tell you the truth, I'm not sure. Not sure? How can you be not sure? Yeah, well, I might have missed the other gunshot. I was listening to something else. Something else. My radio, dude! On my headphones. What? Order, and stop that booing! Mr. Butts, you were listening to a radio on earphones? Yeah, so what? The crime? I listen to my radio. Everybody listens to the radio. What's the big deal? Mr. Von Karma, your opinion? Waste of time. I do not accept this witness nor his shoddy testimony. Well, Mr. Wright, should he continue the testimony? Your Honor, please allow the witness to continue his testimony. Nothing is more pitiful than a lawyer who doesn't know when he's lost. Very well, Mr. Butts. Please give your testimony and be sure to include details like your radio. Right, leave it to me. I wouldn't if there were any other way out of this. Believe me. It's lonely being alone on Christmas Eve. That's why I was listening to an all request show on the radio, see? I was listening to it real booming loud like, but I'm sure I heard that gunshot. I remember exactly what the DJ was saying when I heard it too. You were listening to your radio at a high volume? Yeah, what's the big problem? Can't a man listen to his radio in peace? Isn't this a free country? I truly believe Larry has no idea what the problem here is. Judge, can you believe a word this witness says? What he heard was probably nothing more than a drum beat from the radio. True enough, it is difficult to believe this testimony. Wait, Your Honor. The witness said he remembers exactly what the DJ said when he heard the gunshot. Excuse me? DJ? An announcer. The guy who says things on the radio. Anyway, what this means is, when he heard the sound, no music was playing. The DJ only talks between songs, so he could have heard the gunshot from the lake. I'd like to cross-examine the witness, Your Honor. Very well, Mr. Wright. I can't believe I'm continuing the charade. You got it, Pops. When does he say that? Does he say that? It's lonely being alone on Christmas Eve. Real booming loud. Yeah, you know. And you had headphones on? Yep. I wouldn't think you could hear anything going on outside at all. What did he say? Mr. Wright, please cease these pointless questions. What possible good could come knowing what the radio DJ said to us? Said do us. The radio DJ said what? Indeed, Mr. Von Karma has a point. I'll allow the question only if you see some reason why we should care. We should care, Your Honor. Of course we should. Why? Why? Well, how do you know if we don't ask? Fine, very well. Mr. Butts, please testify to the court. What was the radio announcer saying when you heard the gunshot? Just when she said, "Hey, it's almost Christmas," I heard the gunshot. Wait, what? Larry! Are you absolutely sure what you're saying is correct? Huh? What's with that face? You look scary, dude. Hey, if you're trying to scare me, you better know that I don't scare that easily. Is something the matter, Mr. Wright? Your Honor, did you just hear what the witness said? The DJ said, "Hey, it's almost Christmas," when he heard the gunshot. Indeed, and? Almost Christmas means it wasn't Christmas. Do you realize what this means? When he heard the gunshot, it was still Christmas Eve. That would seem to be the case, yes. But he should have heard the gunshot after midnight. This photograph is irrefutable proof of the fact. Let's see what the time was on the photo taken when the gun triggered Miss Hart's camera. 12:25, 00:15, 15 minutes after midnight on Christmas Day. This is a clear contradiction, Your Honor. Order, order! What does this mean? The two prior witnesses heard gunshots after midnight. However, this witness says he heard a gunshot before midnight. Judge, the answer is simple. The current witness is plainly mistaken. Just look at him. Suspicious. What? Well, Mr. Wright, what do you think about Mr. Butt's claim that he heard the gunshot before midnight? Larry's not mistaken, Your Honor. He heard that gunshot before midnight. Intriguing. I'm assuming you have evidence for this wild claim. Show me evidence there was a gunshot before midnight. Look at this photograph. This was taken by our witness yesterday, Miss Laura Hart, with her automatic camera. The timestamp on the photo reads December 24th, 11:50 p.m. Oh, yes? But there's nothing on the lake in this picture. Your Honor, the real issue here is not why nothing is shown in the photograph. It is why this photograph exists at all. What do you mean? Your Honor, this photograph was taken by an automatic camera. That camera was set to go off in response to loud noises. Ah! Correct. There was a loud noise on the lake at 11:50 p.m. That is why this photograph was taken. In other words, when Larry heard that gunshot, it was most definitely Christmas Eve. Indeed, it would seem that is the case. And where does that leave us? Miss Hart testified that she heard the gunshots after midnight. Are you claiming she was mistaken? Not at all, Your Honor. It is a fact that the camera also triggered at 15 minutes after midnight. Your Honor, that night there were 2 sets of gunshots with a 25-minute pause between them. Why would this be? Don't be fooled, Judge. That camera was set to respond to loud noises. Yes? There is no proof that the loud noise at 11:50 was a gunshot. Why, the witness could have sneezed, triggering the camera. Hey, my nose was clear that night, man! Clear! Well, Mr. Wright, there's no turning back now. Can you prove that the loud noise at 11:50 p.m. was indeed a gunshot? Please show the court evidence if you have any. This is my evidence. Murder weapon? Something about this pistol was bothering me, Your Honor. Both of the witnesses who testified yesterday heard 2 gunshots. Well, the other one was today, but the murder weapon was fired thrice. When then was the last shot fired? Only now have I realized the truth. That third shot was the shot Larry heard just before midnight. Order! That would make sense of the evidence we've seen so far. However, this leaves me wondering exactly what did happen that night on the lake. Exactly. If this is true, there were 2 sets of gunshots separated by 25 minutes. One at 11:50, another at 15 minutes after midnight. Why, I ask you? Why? Oh, I better think of something quick. Wait a second. Gunshots separated by 25 minutes. Ah! What's wrong, Nick? I have it! Huh? Remember the case with the Steel Samurai? Huh? Yeah, of course I remember. The murderer in the case had the same idea as the murderer in this case. They have the same ideas. What do you mean? Maya? Yes? If we don't figure this out now, we'll never overturn Edgeworth's guilty verdict. I've got a hunch, and I'm gonna run with it. Right, I mean, is this safe? Safe? We've already gotten a guilty verdict. We have nothing to lose. You just watch and let me know if I say anything that sounds fishy, okay? Right, Nick? Your Honor? Yes, Mr. Wright? The testimony just now has cleared up this entire case. What do you mean, Mr. Wright? So, you finally realized the truth. There can be no other murderer here than Miles Edgeworth himself. Wrong, Von Karma. A man was shot that night, but it wasn't Edgeworth who did the shooting. Listen, rookie. Take a deep breath and consider the facts. At the time of the murder, 1 boat was on that lake. This was shown by the witness's photograph. The defendant Edgeworth and the victim Robert Hammond were on that boat. There was a gunshot fired on that boat and Robert Hammond fell into the lake. The distance of the shooting was 1 meter. It couldn't have been suicide. Well, the guilty party has to be the other man on the boat. I admit it is hard to imagine any other possibility. Yes, but this assumes that the victim was shot at 15 minutes after midnight. What do you mean by that, Mr. Wright? We have photographic evidence of the time of the shooting. The timestamp on the photo says 00:15, but Larry heard a gunshot 25 minutes before that. Robert Hammond was killed then, 25 minutes before the shot in the lake. It's the only way that Edgeworth could be innocent. Mr. Wright, are you quite mad? Explain who this is sitting on the boat. Of course, it was Edgeworth and the murderer. After the murderer killed Robert Hammond at 11:50, he assumed the guise of Mr. Hammond and met Edgeworth. What? Are you serious? Yes, Edgeworth won't tell us why he went to the lake that night. However, I have a hunch. That night, Robert Hammond called Edgeworth to the lake. Now, Edgeworth didn't know Robert Hammond's face that well. That's why he didn't suspect anything when the murderer took Robert Hammond's place. I'm not sure what to make of all this. Ludicrous. Mr. Wright, tell us the name of the murderer then. The murderer's name? Right, it's... Actually, I don't know the murderer's name. You don't know? Bah! Again you waste my time. I don't know, because he never told us. The murderer is the caretaker at the boat shop, that old man. At 11:50, he was the one who killed Robert Hammond. The caretaker at the boat shop? Where did he do this? There weren't any boats on the lake then. Why would he have to go all the way out into the lake just to shoot somebody? May I suggest that the real scene of the crime was not in the boat? What? Well then, where did the murder take place? Show the judge where the murder really took place. Here, of course, the boat shop where he lives. That way he could meet with the victim without anyone seeing. Do you have any proof that the boat shop was the scene of the crime? Recall Larry's testimony if you will. That night he was out in the lake in a boat, searching for something. He finds it and he returns the boat. Then, just as he's starting to head for home, he hears a gunshot. He heard a gunshot, Your Honor, even though he was wearing headphones at the time. In other words, the gunshot was very close by. And where would that be if he'd just returned the boat? The boat shop. Mr. Wright, what happened that night on Gold Lake? Please tell the court from the beginning. Yes, Your Honor. Nick, are you sure about this? Not really, but I think if I start at the very beginning and I take it slow, I might just be able to figure it out. That night, the caretaker of the boat shop called Robert Hammond to his shop. This was around 11:50. That was when the gunshot that Larry heard was fired. After that, the caretaker put on Robert Hammond's coat. He became Robert Hammond. Then he got into the boat with Edgeworth and went out into the middle of the lake. Then who fired the pistol on the boat, Mr. Wright? Of course, it was the murderer who shot the pistol. He shot twice. Both missed Edgeworth on purpose. Wait a minute. Yes? Why would he shoot twice if he didn't mean to hit anyone? Details. Notice, Mr. Wright. The moment you run out of explanations is the moment you lose. Tell us why the murderer had to fire twice. I believe he shot twice to create a witness, Your Honor. Create a witness? The murderer lifts his pistol and fires one shot. That ensures that anyone who heard the shot would look at the lake. Indeed, Miss Hart did exactly that after hearing the first gunshot. Next, the murderer waits a little bit and he fires again. Then... the murderer jumps from the boat himself, leaving the pistol in the boat behind him. I see. Someone looking from the edge of a lake. It would appear that one of the men on the boat had shot the other. The murderer didn't know about the automatic camera, of course. That's why he shot twice, to draw attention to the boat. Once you realize that, everything else falls into place. The boat shop caretaker swam back to the shop. Then he put Mr. Hammond's wet coat back on the body, and threw the body into the lake. This is what happened, Your Honor. These are the events that transpired that night on Gourd Lake. Bailiff, bring out the witness from before. The boat shop caretaker, quickly. Very well. While we're waiting for the caretaker, I would like to ask the defendant Miles Edgeworth a few questions. Mr. Edgeworth, please take the stand. Mr. Edgeworth, you heard what the defense has said? Yes. Well, why did you go to the lake that night? What Wright has said was mostly correct. Astonishingly so, actually. Yes. Several days ago, I received a letter. The letter was signed Robert Hammond. He asked me to come to the boat shop on the lake at midnight on Christmas Eve. He said he had something very important to discuss with me. Something important? I'm sorry, I can't say what it was. Your Honor, sir. Bailiff, we are conducting a trial here. I ask that you remain quiet. The witness has disappeared. He isn't at the boat shop either. What? What should I do? Find him, quickly. We cannot allow him to get away. Mr. Von Karma, your witness has disappeared. A search warrant has already been issued. It goes without saying that I cannot declare a verdict under these circumstances. I will extend the trial until tomorrow, the final day allowed. I request that the police department utilize all its forces to find that witness. Am I understood? One more thing. Just who is that boat shop caretaker? I think his identity has become very important to the trial. I want him, and I want to know who he is. Good grief, you're a little forward, aren't you? Very well. Court is adjourned.
Yay, Nick! You did it!
Yeah. Well, at least we got out from under the guilty verdict.
What about Larry? That was something else. Even Von Karma didn't know what to do with his testimony. Larry really helped us out.
Sure, once I sifted through his unique testimony, still, he did save us. I just wish our cases weren't so down to the wire all the time.
I know what you mean. Sometimes I feel like it's us on trial instead of the client.
Hey, Edgeworth?
Mr. Edgeworth?
Did you say something?
Don't look so pained. I mean, it looks like you're probably going to get off the hook. You could try to smile just a little. Relax.
I'm sorry. But I fear it's not over for me yet. Words.
What do you mean?
Right. There's something that's been troubling me for a long time now, and I don't know whether or not to tell you. Edgeworth? No, there's so little time left. I want to tell you, to get it off my chest, but I can't make up my mind. What is this about, Edgeworth? It's a nightmare I've had. A memory of a crime that I committed. A crime you committed? A memory of murder. Well, fuck. Oh, sorry. Well, fudge.